Welcome to the podcast. We're back again for another AI for CRE Collective podcast. And today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Luke Morris, and his story is pretty incredible. So we're excited to share it with you guys. Luke, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm a prop tech entrepreneur. I was one of the co-founders of Crexy, which is an amazing company, kind of like Zillow for commercial real estate. And then I started a new company 2 years ago, which is an AI commercial real estate finance company. It became clear to me at the end of 22, early 23, that we're entering a new platform revolution. Something that is going to be more impactful probably than the internet in the 90s.
Welcome to the podcast. We're back again for another AI for CRE Collective podcast. And today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Luke Morris, and his story is pretty incredible. So we're excited to share it with you guys. Luke, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. Okay, so for the listeners who don't know, give them like the 30-second elevator pitch, who you are, your background, and then we'll get into Capitalize, the company.
Yeah, I'm a prop tech entrepreneur. I was one of the co-founders of Crexy, which is an amazing company, kind of like Zillow for commercial real estate. And then I started a new company 2 years ago, which is an AI commercial real estate finance company.
Dang. Okay, so you were a co-founder of Crexy. Crexy is like a competitor to CoStar, for those who don't know. And you guys grew really damn quick.
Yeah, I think people are seeing the glossy finish for sure. The beginning was, couldn't afford an office building. We were in a house in Venice. There was no air conditioning in the summer. There was no heater in the winter, right? It was just like we were running through walls and really listening to our brokers that were using it and building tools that really fit their needs, right? More tracking, more analytics, easier to use, and it really resonated with the user base. And we just kept building and building and building, and to the point where, we have millions of people using it, between tenants and borrowers searching for spaces or buildings. And then we have hundreds of thousands of brokers with listings, right? So and it's not just like the numbers, right? It's like the feedback that I get from these groups that just are so grateful for the user experience. They're so great with our, not just the UI of the platform and the value that's creating, but our responsiveness and the people at Crexy, right? They just we have such a great culture that I think the brokers and buyers, all of our user base, they're just very happy with the experience overall, not just the how it navigates, but what they signed up for, which is the company and the technology, right?
Yeah, and the people involved. No, I only have good things to say about Crexy, which brings me to the next point, which is this new company, Capitalize.io, which I have been lucky enough to mess around with and to use, and it's freaking incredible, man. If I had this when I was starting out, I think I would have sold a lot more real estate and been a lot more knowledgeable about what's going on in the market. So tell us about Capitalize. What's the company? Why did you start it? Give us the whole, as Jake likes to say, meat and potatoes.
Yeah, so it became clear to me at the end of 22, early 23, that we're entering a new platform revolution. Something that is going to be more impactful probably than the internet in the 90s, the mobile revolution mid 2000s, right? The cloud revolution that made it much easier to start a company and host websites, right? This is a new platform, right? So taking advantage of it and everybody's used, I hopefully used ChatGPT or they've used Grok, right? The power is very clear, even in its current form. And these models are moving so quickly. And what we do is we leverage the power of these artificial intelligence tools to integrate or aggregate a lot of the messiness of the commercial real estate finance landscape, like mortgage data, CMBS data, Fannie Freddie Ginnie data, that's highly unstructured or semi-structured. And then we use AI to aggregate and cleanse and interpret that data, provide intelligence on top of that information. That includes who's the most active lender in this market? How many loans have they done? Who are the key contacts at that lender? We don't have an army of people that are looking on that lender's website. We create our own AI agents that are trained to basically, an AI agent is something that you train, what you would train a human to do that does it instantly, right? So you train it to go look at this website, pull from this database, pull from this county, right? So it's you can deploy these AI agents much faster. And that's part of this platform revolution that we're on right now, right? It's and we're just the latest platform to really take advantage of those tools, right? Out there, right? So, and we're not necessarily disintermediating one player, right? We're building software just like Crexy was for the investment sales folks, right? we're building it to make the broker or lender or user base operate more efficiently, right? This is not necessarily a tool that's going to disintermediate someone. It's only going to increase liquidity, increase speed, increase transparency, right? So that's really important to note, because I think there's generally a lot of fear out there with AI in general. And I'd like to say that, like, I think the only fear is like those that don't use it, I believe, that are going to be not necessarily capitalized, but don't use and take advantage of AI. Those folks are the ones that are probably the lowest hanging fruit for disruption, right? So just like, people that didn't adopt the internet in the late 90s, or like didn't, have a smartphone, right? It's like those that adopt those tools operate more efficiently. And a lot of times, like, hopefully AI helps increase liquidity in general for commercial real estate, right? Like transactions, increase confidence, right? Like there's just so much value, right, that these tools can provide.
Luke, you're collecting data at scale. How are you guys handling hallucinations and any potential errors with that data?
You're always honing the model, right? So it's like we're getting feedback, there's match scores, like we're getting user interaction data as well. It's like, hey, this information maybe was off, or like, so there's like user input data, there's a little bit of manual training that has to happen in order to hone it. But, we're not asking something that's necessarily requires hallucination. It's like this address, like the nomenclature in commercial real estate, there's an address tied to it, there's a lender name, like we're not building, robots here, right? It's like commercial real estate, it's like fairly structured or fairly standardized terms or information, right? So it's like it's less likely that it's going to hallucinate, right? Does that make sense? Like you got to deal with that, but it's less about, like, especially when you're dealing with the information that's like pretty standardized, right?
It's like OCR. Like the OCR is not going to mess up on an address.
Like if you're talking about building something like in the future that we hope, like underwriting a loan, then you need to make sure, because you're taking the next step, right? So that's something that we'll probably need to like really hone in and train specifically probably for like each property type. You can't use, certain metrics you would underwrite a multifamily deal versus what you would use for retail, right? So you got to train it specifically, like this is a retail deal. It's a specific type of underwriting process or evaluation that you need to do for each property type.
If you were a customer of Capitalize, like how would you use it best to get the most out of it?
Yeah, so I would, number one, like identifying and making sure you understand like every available capital source for that asset in whatever market, whatever you determine is the relevant market for the asset. Like Taylor, for you, right? Like multifamily in LA, multifamily in West LA, multifamily 10 to 20 units in West LA. Like you can really narrow it down and say like, who's really lending in this market or sub-market or property type, right? So like you can really hone in and determine who the best lender is in that market, not by what they say that they lend on. Because if you go to like US Bank, they'll be like, oh, we do all property types in all markets. It's like, well, where are you actually lending? Where are you actually deploying that capital, right? Because otherwise you have a poor signal. It's a poor match if it's not based on like the activity that they're providing. We also have loan programs that we will pull, like crawl the web to get the loan program on whoever the lender is, if it is provided. And we will merge that with their actual lending activity to make sure that we're making the best match. However, the strongest signal that we've heard is like, are they doing loans in this market? Are they doing loans recently, right? So that's number one, right? Number two is like identifying liquidity in a market. Like, can I actually get a loan on this period? Are there loans being originated, right? What type of lender is it? What should I expect, right? If it's a debt fund versus bank, or so like determining liquidity and what to kind of expect. We're not necessarily an underwriting tool necessarily, right? But it's like you can look and be like, okay, this loan got done today in West LA for multifamily. Like, let me look at the terms, what the type of lender is, to kind of better understand like what to expect. Like we spoke about a minute ago, like eventually maybe there's some form of like guidance on underwriting, right? Based on the property type, based on some more information that the user might provide, where we're like, this is what to expect. But you can do that now by spending some time by looking through some of those capital providers and the actual loans that have been originated in a particular market, right? So, and then third is like, there is this wall of maturities, right? There's a wall of maturities, like everyone's talking about it, right? Navigating that, right? Determining value or relevance for, in Taylor's case, like a lead, right? Like which loans in my market are maturing, right? Like I just sold deals in this market. I can help this borrower either sell or get, restructure. Maybe I have an equity partner, right? Like identifying relevant leads. And that is a way of of commission. And that's the language that brokers speak. It's like, identify a relevant user to me that I can take action on. I can get a hold of them. We provide the contact information of that borrower. So then that's a high quality, I like to call it a lukewarm lead. It's not necessarily cold because you have a lot of relevant information. You know they own the property. You know what the maturity date. You know kind of what the interest rate is. You know this information. So it's like, and coupled with like you've matched it to a piece of data such as like Taylor just closed this loan or closed this property. Like you're providing value. It's like, hey, I just did this. It's less of a pure cold outbound, right? So determining relevance through signals like origination date, like maturity date, like a tax lien or a lien, right? So like putting all those pieces together to determine relevant leads for brokers in whatever market they want, for property types that they want, right? And I think that's really important today.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Amazing, actually. What does the roadmap look like for the next 12 to 24 months for Capitalize, Luke?
That's a great question. And, you know, we're a data company, right? In a world of AI, like having a very sturdy foundation or a very sturdy data lake that you're standing upon is really important, right? So, and that's critical to the trust and the accuracy of like any other feature that you might release, right? So we're always focused on identifying new sources of data, crawling the web, like looking at the models, checking to see what kind of advantages we can leverage from those models to like comb the web, right? Like Taylor might post that he closed that loan on X or LinkedIn or on his own website, right? Or his blog, and like aggregating some of that data, enriching some of it. So that we're always looking at new sources of foundational data. So it's like we're building a very strong foundation. So we're always contributing dev resources towards like making sure we're aggregating unique sources of data, right? And upon that foundation, it's much easier to add features upon that, right? So it's like natural things like maybe you allow people, once they have the borrowers, to send an email to the borrower. So like getting deeper into that workflow, right? Understanding the user and making better recommendations for them. Like Taylor's doing multifamily in LA, like recommending lenders, recommending more borrowers, like more mailbox leads, right? We just launched a Chrome extension where you can literally open Capitalize anywhere across the web where you see the address or like information on the property, click on the little logo next to the address, and it'll open a drawer that shows you everything that we have on that asset. You're not even on Capitalize, you're on like marcusandmillichap.com or you're on your own CRM to like double check, right? So it's like a little drawer that pops out. It's a Chrome plugin, right? So like making it really easy for people to find value. And I've hopped around a little bit here, but I don't necessarily want to think about it like as features. I want to think about it as like speed and greatness of value. So if that means you don't necessarily need to log into Crexy or Capitalize, Crexy for that matter too, but Capitalize like and spend 8 hours a day, that's the old way. You shouldn't have to have a PhD in site navigation to like get value out of the platform that you're using. It's like we should come in, we should collect information on you, we should kind of know how you interact and like send you recommendations, make better matches on the platform, use the widget, right? So like people are tired of it's crazy how quickly it happened, but like the 10 blue links, you got to kind of dig through the information. Now it's like ChatGPT, give me the answer, right? Like I'm trending, I want the roadmap to look more like the quality of the value, the speed of that value, where you can come in, get that value, and start making those commissions or start getting on the phone and having relevant conversations, right? So it's like, that's what we're trying. If that means workflow tools, that means like more email automation, that means maybe an underwriting tool. There's layers we can stack above that. Like the roadmap, I would say, is like we directionally understand what it is, but like we're kind of receptive and like collecting feedback from our user base to, you know, maybe the order of these things changes, right? API integrations. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're talking about.
Do you foresee yourself ever doing like equity in terms of getting equity sources? Because that's the question that I get asked more than anything is like, hey, I got this deal tied up. I need $400,000. You know, any investors who are looking to invest as an LP or co-GP or something like that? I mean, is that on the roadmap too?
We have a little bit of that data right now because oftentimes through the ether, like crawling, like we will get the GP and the LP information, right? So then we can kind of create a profile on that LP, right? And the company's called Capitalize. It's not called First Mortgage or bankloan.com or like, so we do want to get into equity eventually, but it's a little trickier, right? You got to create the right incentive for an LP to want to create a profile or want to participate if we can't find it from publicly available sources, which is trickier, right? So you got to create the right incentive for them. You're going to get leads, you're going to get matched better, right? You got to give them some value. Like you get free access for keeping your LP equity profile on there. We'll give you stats on the there's just like, we've talked about it a lot, as you can tell, right? Like, but you can't just be like, give me something without getting something in return, right? So you got to create the right incentive for those LP folks to like want to keep their profile, right, on the platform, and provide that kind of insight, effectively like claim their profile, claiming transactions, like where have you provided equity? Click on this loan, click on this loan, click on this deal, right? Like, where it builds a profile on them, and then we can make better matches based on the loans that they've done and information. Same thing we're doing with a lender, right? So, but you got to create the right incentive or make it super easy for them to do. Like, they just send us an email with a link to a share file or something, and like we crawl it and we're like, this is the profile we've created. Making them like input all the information. That's like, it's tough on Crexy to get a broker to build their own listing, right? So as you can imagine, it's you got to make it super easy. A drop area, it's like, this is what we do here, all the loans. It's in a CSV or something. It's like, really quick. It's like, this is what we have on you, right? Like, make it really, really, really easy. Almost like it's like, I think eventually Capitalize will be more of like a natural language search, where it's like, can you create a profile on me? Here's an information. You just drag it like you do into a kind of ChatGPT, and it's like, this is what we have. Is this right? Do you want to post it, right? Like, more of a natural language versus like filter-based searching is like super easy for maybe like the older cohort of brokers or lenders. Like, they like more of the filter-based search, but like some people like, switching over to that AI mode where you're just doing, more of a chat-based search. Like, I need to see all the new originations for multifamily in Venice Beach, California over the last 10 months. It's like, here's a list. Would you like to see it in the search results? You want to see it in a list? So, but that starts with that data piece. Otherwise, it will hallucinate, right? Back to your question, Jake. If you don't have that foundational data layer, like accurate to a certain degree, like 70, 80, 90%. Some maybe it won't ever be 100%, right? But getting that to a certain point where it won't hallucinate. And the value when somebody asks a question like that will be, quality, right? It'll be high quality.
I imagine that your users vary, Luke, but I mean, to me, it feels like a no-brainer to have a shop like Marcus and Millichap or Lionstall as an enterprise adopt this. But is your user like skewed to more mom and pops or more enterprise clients that are adopting this stuff?
It's a mix of both, right? But like Crexy, right, the people that are the hungriest, I would say, are the ones that typically have less resources right now. Like, Marcus provides a decent amount of resources. CBRE has a lot of them, like JLL, right? So like the lowest hanging fruit, and a lot of this happened at Crexy too, is like the mom and pop folks or a team within CBRE, right? You get that team on board. And a lot of these teams, like Taylor's team under Marcus, probably has their own little P&L where they have like, they can make their decision autonomously, right? So like, it's very much bottoms up approach, because most of the time anyway, when you go to the CEO of CBRE or the chief investment officer or the chief technologist at a CBRE, what they're going to do anyway is saying like, you got to get Taylor on first. You got to get those individuals on first, right? So it's very much bottoms up, and it's very much like the boutique. So we call it like B to little b. Taylor's team, the group CRE, they're on their little business, right, within the mothership of Marcus, right, or Lionstall.
Yeah, it's all good.
Like within Lionstall, right? So it's like you have your own. That's like little b, right? They're their own business. Even in individual brokers, their own little business. So it's very much bottoms up, like the boutique layer or the individual teams at Lionstall or at CBRE.
Got it.
Interesting. Where my mind went again, because I'm always trying to think of these connections and where this is going. Is there a way where you can? I've wanted to build this, and if someone builds it, please call me, because I really want to build this. Is like a buyer and seller deal matchmaker. So with your data that you have, the ability to then know who has bought a property because they're the signer on the loan. And then if someone puts in a new listing, that then would match, okay, here are the deals that are similar to yours, maybe even the same metrics. This was this cap rate, this was this, yada, yada, yada. Like, is that coming? Please tell me, yes, that's coming, because that would be incredible.
I think it's inevitable.
Okay, good.
It's just inevitable, right? Like, there's probably a way for you, Taylor, or even a buyer out there, like, you could probably create something pretty soon on like an overlay on top of ChatGPT where it's like, these are my parameters, right? Whether they're using Capitalize or using Crexy, for example. It's like, these are my parameters. I'm looking for 6 caps, McDonald's, and nationwide. Like, can you build, like, send me alerts, like crawl crawl Crexy like for new listings, like where it's like it kind of just does it for you, right? It's like you're building your own little AI agent that's looking, maybe it looks on Zillow for multifamily, and then it looks on Crexy for multifamily, and then so yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I think it's definitely the direction that things are happening for sure, right? Or where it's heading, right? For sure.
Because speed to lead, the speed is like
speed to
everything
lead.
is
like
everything is how quick can you get to getting something happening? Because time kills deals. It's my favorite phrase. Time, not my favorite, but a favorite. Time kills deals. It just fucking does.
It kills deals for sure. And the speed at which you see that, like, it's not necessarily like if you see the deal 180 days into the listing, like it's like the speed of making your decision, and then also like the quickness at which you can identify a property that's just listed or maybe off market. You're like, this is the deal for me.
Yeah.
Like immediately, right? Because the information is more readily available. So like getting in first mover advantage, like get in there, submit an offer. Otherwise, you're going to face a lot of competition, right?
I'm just thinking of ideas here, and again, this is off the cuff, but like there should be something where if I was a buyer and I had a buy box and a deal came up and it was something that hit my criteria, there should be an automatic email
That's
to that
Crexy,
broker.
Dude. That is
that what Crexy does?
Yeah, man.
They email?
Yes, come on.
But like, I know, but it should be a personalized. Like, hey, John, this deal, or hey, Taylor. Like a buyer emails me, hey Taylor, I saw your listing on 123 Main Street. I'm interested. Can I hear more details about it? Like it should be the buyers to the brokers based upon their criteria. Does that happen?
Yeah, I think Crexy, you'd probably have to interview Mike or somebody. Like they should, if they're not thinking about that, I'm going to call them.
I mean, come on, right?
But it's, we have that
Help
in
me
a
out,
rudimentary
guys.
form right now, right? Like, and we have like some of the best data. I'm speaking about Crexy and like capitalizes as well as some of this, but like we have some of the best data on every buyer that's used Crexy because we are tracking their click behavior. So we know we have a very clear profile on every single buyer and like every single deal that they've clicked on, the price range, the location, like what kind of cap rate is it, what product. I mean, there's just like an immense amount of information, and like I think it's natural that Crexy will have like, hey, here's your little Crexy AI agent. It's like, tell us how you want to operate. As soon as you see a listing that fits that box, do you want to submit an offer? Do you want to send an automatic message? Do you want to, right? Like, I think that's something that's like, even with today's AI in its current form, like you could probably build something like that where it's like, you set up your buy box. It's like, we already have a collection. It's like, this is what we perceive or have collected on you. Like, do you want to edit it? And like, how do you want to interact? Like, as soon as the listing goes live, maybe you want to send follow-up sequences where it's like if the listing still hasn't traded after 180 days, then you're sending another sequence, right, where it's like, hey, I noticed that your deal's been on there for a while, like just kind of you're setting it up on your own. I think that's like pretty easy to do, and I would be shocked if like the genius that is Oded Noy at Crexy is not thinking about that, right?
If they don't build it, we're gonna build it because it's a no-brainer for sure.
I gotta ask Luke. Crexy is obviously a monster doing however many hundreds of millions in revenue. Now you got Capitalize. I guess I'm just curious. Like, why Capitalize? I mean, obviously both are fantastic and great, but Crexy's a beast. And so I'm curious.
Like, why did I leave?
Yeah. Like, why is now
it's
the opportunity for
Capitalize? Oh, yeah, gosh.
Absolutely.
It was kind of what I was saying at the beginning. I mean, there's a lot of different factors, right? Like, those people are my family. Like, I always had a lot of support. Like, they're like, Luke, it's good. You're good. Like, go start something new, right? Like, there was an enormous amount of like support. I mean, I was there 10 years, mostly founders. If you like ChatGPT'd it, like the average lifespan of co-founders, like there's usually one that stays, or like sometimes all of them. It's like 4 years. I was there like better part of it. It's not like I would like left anything on the table. Like I raised this thing for, and it was like still in the womb to like send it off to college, and then it's going to start, kind of taking over the world, right? So it's like I felt that my contributions there were, it had hit, I had accomplished everything I needed to do and had support, and I was fully vested, right? Those things kind of matter, right? And it was those factors though, like just logging in and using ChatGPT the first time, I was like, dang, bro, this is going to be insane. This is great. And then with the state of the financing market specifically, a bunch of different factors, higher interest rates, like it Capitalize is acyclical, so whether the market is good or bad, like we're something that you can use. But it's probably arguable that like in this time where it is more challenging, starting the company when it's more challenging and people need you more is a better time than when 2020 and a half through 23 and a half, where I could have spun this chair around and put my hands out, I would have gotten a loan from someone. This Marlin would have given me a loan, right? It was just crazy, right? And deals are just flying around. Now when it's more challenging, I felt it was a good time to be building a company, climbing out rather than chasing the market down, right? So
got it.
That was a big factor. And then the rise of private money. The depositor that you typically went to, your B of A's, they're kind of pulling back. And there's more private capital out there that's chasing deals. That's typically good for a company that sells software. If you don't have to sell into B of A with all these regulations, and you can kind of sell to private money lenders or debt funds, that shift is really happening. Private money loans are supposed to go from 2 trillion to 4 trillion by 2030, right? So less than 5 years from now. So it's that was also a pretty big, it was just a shift. I felt timing was good. Mostly AI based, that you could code faster, you can build smarter, you can make better recommendations at a greater gross margin for not that expensive, right? So we can lower the price but still create a lot of value and make a good margin because of the cost of these things, because it's so effective. And a lot of these models are it's kind of a race to the bottom. These every week there's a price cut, right? So we're taking advantage of that structure as currently presented, right?
Sure.
And we're not building robots. We're not trying to send AI rockets to the moon, right? It's commercial real estate data, which has some of that kind of consistent nomenclature and instant value creation.
It is not rocket science.
Yeah.
It is not rocket science what we do. However, difficult. It is not rocket
very
science.
Difficult. It's very difficult. But it's very challenging, and that's one of the reasons why I believe firmly that a buyer is probably always going to need a human in the middle, right? That helps them triangulate everything, sell confidence, navigate the market. Taylor's the expert in the multifamily, can kind of speak to things and give that buyer confidence. But the speed at which deal can be underwritten or evaluated or funded can be sped up with greater confidence, right? So I'm in that camp until I see something different.
Give me a bold prediction, Luke. Artificial intelligence, CRE. Give me one bold prediction you think is going to happen in the future. Let's say next 2 years.
How's it going to change the game?
Gosh, no one's ever asked me this before.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, I think back to it, I think if I had to guess, right? I think really you would start to see an increase in overall transaction volume. Obviously, we're down right now because of macro factors. But I could see deal volumes, the peak of commercial real estate financing was almost $1 trillion, 600 and something in sales, but there was also refis, right? So it's a screaming peak market is almost $1 trillion. I could see that number going up because of some of these tools that Taylor has mentioned, or Capitalize, or Craig, the speed at which decision making is happening, the liquidity increases, right? So it's deals are trading more frequently, the volume goes up, and then the time to close, in my opinion, goes down. Title, right? Why do I need so much time? And with title, it's banks need maybe appraisals.
The banks
don't take 60 days, right? It's down.
That's the crazy shit to me, man.
The speed at which you can kind of shrink down some of that timeline, but while increasing confidence. That's, I think, really important. It's people are more confident and stuff is closing faster. That is, to me, increased liquidity. So that's kind of where I would bet. I think maybe what you're looking for is brokers are gone and there's some robot AI brokers that are doing all these deals. I don't see that in the next 2 years. Maybe there's a robot that gives property tours, the brokers to the broker that's there to open the door and give a property tour in a few years. But transacting the deal and when you're in the trenches negotiating, I still think there's incredible amount of value for a broker who is the boots on the ground. And I'm kind of until I see differently, I'm going to be in that camp.
Luke, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can call my mobile phone. I'm probably not best to give it out, but it's 949-632-8494.
You're crazy, dude.
I still have. Hey, I gave my number out at Crexy. There's still people that call me from a decade ago. Or Luke at Capitalize.io. Maybe that's a little bit better, but I don't mind. I like talking to the customers. People can give me a call.
We're excited to see where Capitalize is going. I love the platform. I love using it. Jake and I both, like, I'll speak for him in terms of, like, this feels like a revolution that is going to change not only our industry, but so many things. And if you're on top of this, if you're the one who's actually messing around and using platforms like Capitalize, like, I feel like I'm cheating at a certain point when I get access to these tools, because I know the other brokers who I'm competing with maybe are not smart enough or at least in the game like I am to I'm going to beat them out because they got more tools. So I'm very excited about it. Luke, we appreciate you coming on, and we're excited to see what happens with Capitalize and see it grow.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Taylor. This was fun.
Had a blast.
Appreciate it.
Good. All right.
Thank you.